Ashes of Creation. This is the game where 99% of my hopium and also copium is resting. I don't think there's a single other good MMO that is coming up on the horizon. The only other one you could even talk about is the League of Legends, the Riot MMO. I don't know. We're going to give it a try, but I'm not exactly holding my breath. This game, Ashes of Creation, I think it has a bright future. I really, really do. We played the alpha version, it's like the pre-alpha version of this game, probably about 2 years ago now, and it was fun. The studio is releasing updates all the time. The reason why I feel positive about AOC here, Ashes of Creation, is because it's entirely self-funded. They are self-funded either by the creator, the project lead, who is a billionaire, or maybe not billionaire, he's a turbo millionaire, and also their community funding through Kickstarter. So they're not having their strings pulled by Tencent or Amazon Game Studio or some other AAA game development studio. They have publicly said, we're not in a hurry. We're going to release the game when it's ready. Okay? We're not trying to get this game out the door as fast as possible. The game is not going to be overly monetized. There's going to be zero. They've committed 0% pay to win functionality. They're going to be selling cosmetics and stuff, but who gives a fuck? And so this is a huge update with AOC that came out earlier today.
What up, boys? So, as a perfectly hinged, balding, middle-aged man sitting around poring over a game that quite literally doesn't exist, you can imagine a lot of productive and reasonable discussion happens during our daily streams over at twitch.tv/Narciverse. Yes, quite right, sir. We're undoubtedly the pinnacle of washed-up MMORPG boomers, and as such, we've discovered quite a lot of interesting pieces of information related to the upcoming Alpha 2. But before we get into that, our beautiful patrons and coped out the wazoo Twitch subs and I would love for you to grab yourself a Coca-Cola, because we spent an unreasonable amount of time hacking into the Alpha 2 map. How did we do this, I hear you ask? Well, we basically stitched together every single minimap and...
Hold up. I don't know if you can see this. The shirt that this guy is wearing has a bunch of images of the face of the lead developer for AOC. This guy, I forget his name. This is the guy that is creating AOC. And he's got a shirt with his face on it 10 million times. Okay, nice. He's not unhinged. Most hinged MMO player.
Basically,
Steven is his name, right?
Every single minimap and created a geographically accurate representation of the Riverlands. And oh boy, this reveals a lot more than we originally anticipated. And you know, maybe this game does actually exist, and I'll explain why in today's video. Now, with all that bollocks out of the way, let's begin.
Okay, we're going schizo mode here, I can tell. Yeah, we're going
So, as mentioned in the intro, we've spent a fair amount of time on stream trying to piece together the Riverlands using notable points of interest on the horizons of the last 18 to 20 months of showcases. Therefore, I'll warn you now that this video is gonna be fucking insane. But if you're still watching my descent into madness as Steven Sharif edges us into the most orgasmic MMO experience for quarter 3, then, like the ones who turn up to watch my streams, Anyway, before we jump into the madness head first, to start with, I want to anchor you into reality using 4 particular in-game points of interest. The Tower of Carfin, seen across basically all live streams. The Winstead node, first shown during the Village update. The Miraleth node, shown during the Caravan showcase. And finally, the Tank stream, arguably the most important point of interest out of these 4. And I'll explain why in a moment, because before we get into that, you need some context. The Tank showcase back in January was received very poorly. So poorly, in fact, that the team had to re-record the whole thing, and I suspect that led to this little slip-up that I'm about to show you. Now, this was the only showcase that the team opened up their world map to show their exact location. So we can use this as our base for distance and points of interest within the Riverlands itself, as indicated by various...
I feel like when we were playing the like the early alpha, I feel like we were here. But this is 2 years ago. I don't know.
markers. You see, there was one particular object in the distance that really piqued my interest, and I don't think it was intended to be shown, as you can only notice it for a very split second. There, did you catch that? Allow me to play it one more time. There it is. No, you don't see it? Well, that's probably because you're not a pathetic loser whose life revolves around a game that quite literally doesn't exist. If you pause the footage on this exact frame...
Okay, what is it, bro?
You can see something very interesting in the distance. A floating statue of some kind. But a statue of what,
Holy
I
shit.
hear you ask? If you
Is it a
triangulate where they
horse?
are on their map using the compass to understand which way he was facing when the statue was in shot, you'll discover that it was towards the alien capital city, or the human starting zone for Alpha 2.
Damn.
Cross-referencing this with quite recent concept art, we can see that the city does indeed...
Holy shit! Yo, this guy is actually... He found it. He found the horse statue. The floating horse statue.
Floating statues.
Holy
is this
shit.
The horse? Well...
Chat, is that the floating horse? I don't know. Probably. It probably is. I don't fucking know.
People in my chat argued it was not, and actually looks more like a lion. And you know, I tend to agree. So
it does
I
look
dived
more like
a little
lion,
deeper
true.
and discovered this. Boom! Within the starting zone of the Riverlands, there is a floating lion.
Is that it?
Oh, you can't see it? Here, I'll outline it for you.
Yeah, when you put it that way, yeah, that does look just like a lion. True.
Therefore, conclusion is, this is proof that even as far back as January 2023, the majority of the Riverlands is probably already finished, and this bodes very well for the longevity of Alpha 2. But that's merely the pastry that lines this fine copium dessert, my friends, because all throughout the last 10 months, we can actually apply a lot of interesting context to the rest of the Riverlands as well. As mentioned before, the tank stream is merely the primary anchor that sets the stage for what's to come, and our next task was to connect this location.
When is this game coming out? Zuki says. Zuki, shut the fuck up. Zuki, why would you ask such a dumb question? Zuki, never ask that question again. That is such a dumb question.
To the rest of
the answer is never. The game is never coming out.
Riverlands. And we did this using one simple trick. Autism.
Never.
For you see,
nice, that's a good trick.
Stream, we used a singular group of pixels from the minimap to connect this location to the caravan stream. Yes, you heard that right. I told you it was pure autism, but allow me to explain. You see, these ruins and the trees around them connect perfectly with a frame from the caravan stream. And by using this, we can resize the minimap cluster to fit the context of the world and then stitch together the whole of the caravan stream's minimaps. This gives us context of this whole area of the Riverlands, including the Winstead node, the Mirror Left node, the tank showcase, the cleric location, and the Tower of Carfin. But the beauty of this is that if you use that original world map from the tank showcase, everything lines up perfectly with the icons. Winstead node, Tower of Carfin, Mirror Left, the cleric livestream. Oh my god, it completely blows my mind. Now, to finish us up, there are 3 showcases that don't have definitive connections. The beautiful Pine Forest and Graveyard zones shown from November 20...
This is the GOAT zone. I'm already telling you, this is going to be the GOAT zone. This is the #1 zone in the game.
22. The Freehold location seems to be fairly disconnected, and the Mage showcases Marshy Hills hosting a dungeon called the Halls of Judication cannot be connected using the minimaps. However, you can connect the Mage's particular location, as the floating rocks during the village stream are also seeable from the Mage's location.
Well, what if those are different floating rocks? Who's to say it's the same floating rock?
And this is the beauty of what I want to discuss today. The Riverlands is huge. Just this biome in itself
Wow.
is almost as big as New World's map alone, and that is something you can very clearly see in today's video. The scale and level of detail this world has is already at a level that competes with our currently popular MMOs, and this game hasn't even entered its playable alpha phase yet. Isn't that crazy? It's been long said that Intrepid have not been showing us everything, and I think this is pretty obvious proof that actually the Riverlands zone has been finished for a very long time.
Is that a floating golden sandal?
And I'd argue the exact same thing for the desert biome, as it was shown in a pretty complete state during the trailer last year too. The current understanding of Alpha 2 is that it's going to feature at least 2 large zones, the Riverlands and the desert, but Stephen has hinted at other possible areas as well.
So basically what you're seeing here...
Which creative genius fucking Einstein thought that this was a cool mount? Who the fuck?
The current understanding of Alpha 2 is that it's going to feature at least...
Whose fucking idea was this? Whose idea is this?
2 large zones, the Riverlands and the desert, but Stephen has hinted at other possible areas as well.
So basically what you're seeing here is, you know, Alpha 2 is going to have a pretty significant cross-section of different biomes. The 2 primary ones that Alpha 2 is going to contain are going to be forests, riverlands, and desert, right?
We have a lot of zones that are planned for Alpha 2. Not all of them will be online by the time Alpha 2 launches, but they will be continuously integrated and launched as part.
I gotta say, having these ritzy black leather gross couches in this beautiful, rich wood, old school Victorian style fucking... This is a sin. Okay? Listen, my guy, picking these little chairs here to put in this room, I don't know. It's criminal.
Part of Alpha 2 continuing forward. You know, the big areas obviously are the Riverlands, the Badlands, the Sandsquall Desert.
I am so sick of seeing anime avatars superimposed on people. What's your name? Hadrian Based. How do you guys find my stream? Where the fuck? Okay, listen, can I ask you, where did you come from? Who? Okay, seriously, where are you? And I'm not complaining. I'm happy you're here. I think you're gonna fit in really, really well. You're gonna fit in really well. Okay, but like seriously, where are you guys? Where do you guys find my stream? How the fuck do you even get here? I don't know. Is the link being posted on fucking 4chan or something or what? I don't know.
The tropics,
I don't know.
The forest areas, some of the tabletop mountains and the tundra and ice areas.
Which is super exciting, but when asked to confirm this, instead of just straight telling us, he decides to edge us just that little bit more, the cheeky rascal. No, but seriously, please tell us what the fuck we're getting for the launch of Alpha 2. I'm begging you, man. And hey, actually, if you guys want to help uncover this mystery, you can ask this question for the Q&A segment every single month until they finally answer it. But as usual, we are just sad.
My buddy made me join your Discord before I knew who you were, Keck. Okay, there you go. There you go. Well, you're stuck here forever now. You're one of us now.
Little nerds desperate for a good MMO. And I want to invite you to come join our adventures over at twitch.tv/Nargaverse, because I've gotten sick of waiting for Alpha 2. So sick, in fact, that I've decided that I'm going to make it myself in Unreal Engine 5. So come join us as we create a scuffed version of the game whilst huffing dangerous amounts of copium, because we're high on copium.
There you go. There you go. This is very, very high levels of autism, and I like that. I appreciate that. I appreciate a good autistic MMO RPG video. We like that. We fuck with that. So this is where AOC is at the moment. All right? I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be good. I do not think that AOC is going to be the most popular MMO of all time. I don't think it's going to be a World of Warcraft killer. I don't think it's going to It's not going to appeal to the masses, but I think this is going to be a very, very good MMO for old school, traditional Dungeons and Dragons RPG style boomer MMO gamers. I think this is going to be good for guys like us. If you're here, if you're a big classic WoW guy, I think this game is going to be good for guys like us. It's not going to be good for Lil Zoom, who's listening to you know, I was gonna make like a Zoomer pop culture reference, but I don't even know a single Zoomer pop culture icon. Who the fuck do Zoomers listen? I don't know who the fuck Zoomers listen to. Who's that retarded Ice Spice? Yeah, sorry, Ice Spice. If you're listening to Ice Spice, if you love Ice Spice, this MMO is probably not for you.